What's up guys, it's Jack from Angry Elk Woodworking. Today I'm going to be showing you how I built this liquor cabinet, so stay tuned to find out. Starting off this project over at the joiner, as with any project, I'm working with 8/4 mahogany here. I'm creating one completely flat surface so I can bring that over to the table saw and cut parallel to that. I'm cutting out the legs here, which I'll end up letting dry for a couple days, acclimate to the shop, and then eventually bring them back to the planer and the joiner to get them completely true and square. Threw together this little jig with some 1/4-inch plywood, CA glue, and some scrap blocks. Cutting tapers in my legs here. I'll come back later with a number 6 smoothing plane and finish that off, make it perfect. Here I'm back at the table saw, using that sacrificial fence to get that, create the shoulders for my tenons. And here's the tenoning jig, just squaring up those tenons, cutting them to their final dimensions. Using a marking gauge to mark out where my mortises will go, the mating piece to that tenon you just saw me cut. So I have a mortising machine many people don't have. After this project, I'm not sure how I feel about it. I think next time I cut mortises, I'll probably use a router and some sort of jig. Just not super accurate on the depth gauge, but ended up making it work, and it worked out fine for this project. I'm at the joiner table here using a 1/2-inch upcut spiral bit to cut out those dados for my frame and panel sides of the cabinet. It's going to be a shaker / mission style cabinet. On these aprons here, I can cut the dado all the way through because it's not going to be seen. On the legs, it's going to have to be stopped. Here I am squaring it up with the chisel. Breaking down a sheet of that 1/2-inch mahogany plywood, MDF core. I ended up really liking this stuff. After this project, it finished really well. Very stable for what I'm using it for. I'm throwing in the panel, and I didn't want to have to worry about wood movement, so I went ahead and worked with this. Very stable, very strong, easy to work with. So I'm looking forward to using it again in the future. So I'm gluing it up here, gluing up the initial frame, gluing those aprons, throwing them tenons into the mortises. As you can see, I'm throwing some glue in that first dado. Because I'm using that MDF core panel, like I said, it's not going to move. I don't have to worry about wood movement because it's very stable. So I did glue in that one side just to prevent it from racking around, even though it's pretty snug in there. I just wanted it, some reassurance there. So getting this in clamps, I'll leave that glue in overnight. Make sure the glue's all set up for the morning so I can sand it and get it ready to go. To attach the long aprons, I decided to go with dowels. My initial plan was to go with mortise and tenons, just like the side aprons, but with lack of planning, I realized that the tenons would run right into each other and it would lose some strength, so I went ahead and went with the dowel. Here I'm cutting some dados so my shelves will slide right in, be super strong. Looking back, I probably should have made a shallower pass because that's a lot of stress on a router bit. But everything worked out. Got some clean cuts. Here I am driving those dowels in. This is the glue up of the whole frame of the cabinet. You can see all the wood in the background, some of it drying, some of it already cut. But here I am attaching those long stretchers and the final glue up. After a quick stop at the joiner, I'm at the table saw making that parallel cut. This will be the top of the cabinet. It's 6/4 African mahogany. And this is from that same board. It's about a 10-foot board. Create another parallel edge so I can glue those up together. It's a well-known trick, but I have both those top pieces sandwiched together here, running through the joiner together. In case your joiner fence is off even a half degree, this bridges that gap. I don't know if that's supplementary, complementary angles. I'm not very good at geometry, but it tends to work well and creates a seamless connection between those two pieces of wood. So here I am gluing it up. I didn't go with any biscuits or dominoes, any dowels here. It's just not necessary. The glue is plenty strong. And just with two pieces, there's no need for any help aligning this. So next day, I'm over at the wide belt sander, throwing this top through a couple times, just take down the high spots. I scraped the glue off with the little glue scraper. Now I'm back to the table saw. Threw a dado stack in the table saw, and I'm cutting half laps here for my face frame. I tried to stick with some tougher joinery rather than just pocket screws and whatnot. Tried to push myself on this project. Here I'm routing for the back space. I'll have that same MDF core plywood just going to pop in the back, and I'll attach it with screws. I'm routing a chamfer here on my top. It's going to be on the underside of the top, on all four sides. So after everything was put together, it's about 5 hours of sanding to do. So went outside, put some music on, probably listening to Joe Rogan here. I'm not going to do a Mike Farrington song recommendation, but quite a bit of sanding. Had to sand up to 220, raise the grain with some water, and sand it back up to 220 before using a water-based dye stain, and then eventually an oil-based finish. My first time doing dovetails here, I was very disappointed with one of the big woodworking stores, box joint jigs. So returned it. I ordered a Cat's Moses dovetail jig. Definitely can't recommend it enough. If you have never tried it, pick up one of those jigs. Really cheap. Definitely worth it. Made it possible for me. Definitely glad I gave it a shot. So here I am with a coping saw or fret saw, cutting out the waste. Getting pretty close to that line right there. Gonna be less chisel work. Using soft maple for my drawers. I really like the contrasting look that it's gonna give in the final product between that light colored wood versus that deep rich mahogany. Here I am with the chisel. I made some really deep lines with that marking gauge to establish that shoulder there. which makes it really easy in this step of the process because I can drop my chisel right into that line and just tap it down, even undercut it a little bit. Makes for a really nice final product.